the OMG Hour.
You ready to do a show here, Tico? Chico,
Am
you
I
there?
ever ready, Sean?
No.
I'm here.
Are you sure?
I don't.
All right,
I don't think I'm ever ready to do a show.
All right. Well,
but
let's just do one anyway. So, welcome everybody to the OMG Hour
show.
yet again.
It's oh wait, you talk first. Sorry, I wasn't
oh
ready.
my gosh, Tico.
Sorry, Sean.
It's episode number 373 of the OMG Hour. Obviously, Tico's first show. Of course, I am Sean Evans, otherwise known as Zion Tane.
I am Tico, Mr. Second Place, here for the very first time ever.
Welcome to the show, Tico.
373rd show.
Welcome to the show. Maybe you'll stick around.
Maybe I will.
Or maybe this will be your last episode.
If I keep interrupting you, it probably will be.
So I want to start off with something. Last week, you talked about something that I wasn't even aware you were able to do, and that's reading.
Yeah, I do know how to read.
And that's... So you bought a book by Boss Fight Books about NBA Jam. And so I purchased one about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic by
awesome.
Boss Fight Games. So that one, it just came today, actually. You know, I'm going to be honest. They're a heck of a lot smaller than I expected.
It's a tiny book, which I really like because it's like, you know, you get a big book and you're like, I got to read this whole thing. It feels intimidating, but this is like, it's a quick little, like, sort of on the go read. And I saw that they just actually finished their Kickstarter. They do these in series, I guess, of 5 books.
Oh, okay.
And they just finished their Kickstarter for their last series, which is going to include Resident Evil and a few others. So I really like that they're sort of really delving into the industry and covering off some of these games. I think Red Dead Redemption is one of the ones coming up.
Oh, and now is that Kickstarter done now?
That Kickstarter is done, yes.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, I mean, we can purchase it after they're done. But, I mean, it was $15. Very small book. Like, it's I'm talking, what do we got here?
296 pages.
109 pages in this book. Like, that's like...
Oh, wow.
Like what, an hour read, maybe?
That's a pamphlet.
That's a pamphlet. But this is about, I mean, of all the books... I'm going to be honest. I looked through the entire series. Right now, there's 22 books, I believe. And... Honestly, of all of them, Knights of the Old Republic was the only one I'm like, I'd like to read that one. Because they're all dealing with like a lot of titles that I never got into. Things like Earthbound. Yeah. Like, I never played that game. NBA Jam is another one. And I can't think of what the other titles are offhand, but...
There's a few Final Fantasies, the Super Mario Brothers 2 and 3 are in there. There's games that I played, but I'm not as interested in the
book,
you know, the path.
Yeah, so Earthbound was number 1. I've never in my life played Earthbound, so I don't even know what it is. There's Chrono Trigger, there's Galaga. What might be interesting is the Galaga one. Although, it's a funny story. Dan Amrick, of course, friend of the show and friend of ours, he also has these books, and they were talking about it on this Facebook group that I'm part of. And he says the Galaga book he absolutely hated because author... They're all different authors. But the author took too many personal liberties in the way he wrote the book. So it became more of a personal...
his take on Galaga as opposed to...
The truth. As opposed to the facts. Exactly. Which
as opposed to a journalistic take, which you would hope you would get from something like that.
Yeah, so I found that interesting. So I'm like, okay. But yeah, I mean, there's also Bible Adventures in here. That's one of the books, Bible Adventures.
I'm only mildly interested in that one as a book because I remember an EB Games story about this guy who would come in constantly asking for the Bible Adventures game, which we did not have.
Well, wasn't that a Nintendo NES game?
I think so, but he would constantly come in asking if we had it. And this was like a weekly occurrence for almost a year where he would come in and ask if we had it. And then finally he dropped off a resume in crayon.
Come on. Oh, wait a minute. Was I there? Kidding. Was I there for that?
Yes.
I remember this crayon.
We almost got rid of you to hire him at that point because that resume was so impressive.
Impressive, absolutely.
Crayon.
I volunteered to leave just to hire him. It was so impressive. I'm like, I can't compete with this guy.
You no. I'm looking at the rest of this. Like Metal Gear Solid might be a fun one. Shadow of the Colossus
But I
was
hate
an
the
interesting.
game. Like, I listen. There's a lot of these games I get have huge followings, but a lot of the games in this list are not games I ever played or cared about. Right?
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, never played. Well, I have played it, but I didn't get into World of Warcraft. For me, at that time, it was EverQuest 2 and Guild Wars. Right?
Well, then
Write a book.
you have to. So on their Kickstarter, when they do it, they actually put up a vote for the next title that you'd like to see in their
Yeah, I'd love to
library,
see.
and you can vote for some of these.
I'd love to see. I mean, I don't know what the criteria is for these books. How do they decide which titles do they do? Are they only doing old games? Or are they doing more modern games as well? Like, could they write one about The Last of Us, for example, or Horizon? You know what I'm saying? Like, could they write ones for those? Or is it only classic IPs that they're writing these for? I don't know what the criteria is. But Knights of the Old Republic is the one I got. I was a huge fan of that. I would love to see that game come back as a new title in the IP. But so anyway, I just wanted to give us a little bit of a follow-up from last week since you bought one.
You wanted to prove that you read too.
I can also read. Well, I wanted to prove at least that I have books. That doesn't prove that I can read. Right?
That is true.
I mean, I could have a book written in German. Doesn't mean I read German.
That's true. So the new ones that are coming out are, and I'm talking slowly so I can pull this up. So Red Dead Redemption is the next one that's going to make it to the publisher.
That would be good. That's it? Just that one?
Just well, hang on. Here's it's seasons they do. So season 5 is called Into the Darkness. Red Dead Redemption, Resident Evil, The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask, Silent Hill 2, and Final Fantasy 6.
See. So I would do the Red Dead and the Resident Evil, but who cares about Final Fantasy 6? Like, it's really 7 that's the huge one, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, that's why I'm like, what's the criteria?
Red Dead, Resident Evil, and The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask might be an interesting read.
That would be good. I actually played that one. That was one of the Zeldas I played. Again, I'm not a huge Zelda fan, but I have played Zelda games. I'm just not a diehard fan like a lot of Zelda fans out there. Like, they just live and breathe Zelda.
All right, so let's do this. Let's give me your top 3 franchises or games. Let's go to the top 3 games that you would like to see a book done of. Then
Elder Scrolls.
All right, I'm on board with you there. And now Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, or
just like Elder Scrolls in general, like just the whole Elder Scrolls series.
But they pick one game of the series.
That's true. So let's do Skyrim then.
Skyrim, okay. I'm on board. That would be on my list.
Mass Effect, the original.
The first Mass Effect, yeah.
And Dragon Age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those would all be okay.
I would read all of those. You know, if we want to go even further, I would love to see one on Horizon. You know, Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah. That would be incredible.
Some of these great original IPs. I would love something on one of the Assassin's Creeds.
Yes, that would be fantastic. Because you could do the original Assassin's Creed and talk about like the history of that. Is that it was going to be another Prince of Persia.
Yeah,
and it was going to be like a Prince of Persia: The Assassins, because as they were doing research for the new game, they discovered this Brotherhood of Assassins and started doing research into this and were so fascinated with it. It became bigger and bigger than they imagined. And they literally just said, let's just make a game about these assassins instead of making this sort of like the subplot, I guess for lack of a better term, for the new Prince of Persia. So that was sort of where Assassin's Creed came from. But yeah, I'd love to see an Assassin's Creed talking about all of that, how that came to be.
Yeah, the modern Fallout games I think would be really fun to see to hear about the development cycle for those.
Like the redesign from the original Fallout into Fallout 3?
Yeah, which I like 3 and 4, like those ones would be great. The Burnout series of racing games, just to see, I just really enjoyed, like Burnout Paradise. I'd love to sort of hear about how they develop that whole world.
Yeah. I mean, again, without reading the book itself, without understanding what the books are about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what take they take on the games, it's hard for me to say which other ones I'd like to see because I don't know what they've written about the game. Are they about the development of the game? Are they like, I don't know what they are yet because I haven't read it. So, but if you're,
right.
you know,
why don't we just take a quick break? You can step aside, finish off the book. It's only 109
all right,
pages.
I'll be right.
Come back.
I'll be right back.
We'll finish the show. Yeah.
Oh man, that was a great read.
There we go.
That's
all
fantastic.
Right, so, yeah.
Wow. No. Anyway, this week I just want to mention, if you want to go check out our YouTube channel, we did a review for another board game called The Alpha. This is from Bicycle Games, so you can go check out our episode of Flipping Tables. It's about 12 minutes long or so. Great game. So go check out our review of that.
Yeah, fun game.
Tico, I've been playing The Last of Us all week. Before I get into the news about The Last of Us, there's one thing I want to say about this game that I found fascinating about myself, not about the game itself. Well, I guess it is about the game because it's about how well they designed the game, right? The atmosphere and the feeling you get playing the game. And what I've discovered is I'm playing the game on easy. Like, I don't play these games on super hard. I don't play them to be frustrated. I play these kind of games for the story. And in this particular case, the incredible stealth aspects. Like, the stealth in this game is so much fun. But what I've discovered is, even though I'm playing on easy, and if I may say so, easy actually is easy. Like, it's hard to die by losing health in this game. You can die by basically failing the button mash at a particular moment. If you're literally attacked by a clicker, you basically have to hammer the square button to push it away, and sometimes you can fail that, and it's just instant death. But it restarts. Like, the restart is like right there. It's not like you have to replay anything. It's just like, let's do that again, you know?
Yeah. So before you died.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing I find. Even though, as I mentioned, it's actually hard to die by losing health, I'm still feeling that anxiety going through these places. You know what I mean? Like, the game itself is so immersive and so well designed, especially we get into these, like, darkened buildings, and then you start hearing the clickers, or you hear the stalkers around. Like, they just introduced the stalkers, which are ones that they basically hunker down and they just peer around waiting for you, right? They don't make any sound, and you can't see them with your, I don't even know what it's called now. I guess LE vision, whatever you want. You basically hold a button, and she stops and she listens, and you can basically hear the outline of enemies around through the walls, right? You can't do that with stalkers. They don't make sound, right? So they could be anywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so freaked out right now. Even though knowing, had they attacked me, I probably would not have died. But that fear and that anxiety is still there.
Yeah, that sense of something popping out.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's, again, it's the same thing in a horror movie. When you're watching a horror movie, you know you're not going to get hurt watching a horror movie. You know nothing bad is going to happen to you.
Right.
And even more so in a horror movie, there's nothing you can do to change the outcome anyways. But you still, like, you get that jump scare.
Yeah, like you are experiencing what the actor is experiencing, or the character, not the actor, but the character.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's so well done that way.
Yeah, and that's just good storytelling. If they get you so you're feeling anxious and you have that sense of dread in the pit of your stomach as you're playing through,
yes,
it means they've done a good job with the atmosphere, with the music, with the pacing and everything like that in order to build that, you know, that feeling.
Oh yeah, and the music, you're absolutely right on, because when you get into that situation, the music, of course, it becomes that suspenseful music, and what's neat about it too is the music is always a cue. In this, it's not just The Last of Us. Every game, there's battle music essentially. Yeah. So as soon as you hear it, you know, oh crap, I better be ready.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when that music starts panning out and disappearing, you know it's done, and you can take kind of a sigh of relief.
I would love for a game to just start doing that, like have that music start up when there's nothing about to happen, and you're just like, you get all anxious, you're looking around every corner, and then nothing happens, and then you're like,
I've had games do that because of a bug.
Yeah.
Right? You're playing along and all of a sudden the battle music starts. You're like, what? Wait, what? Oh, it's just random music playing for some reason.
Yeah, and it's just it messes with you because you're expecting you should be in a fight, but you're not.
Exactly.
And you get your fight or flight, kicks in, and just you start to sweat, and you're like, and then you turn it off because you get scared.
The thing that makes it a lot more anxiety inducing too is when you're in these areas, they're always dark. So you have to toggle your flashlight, and it's so dark at times that the only thing you see is where your flashlight is shining.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not only does it capture your fear of the creatures, it's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of the dark. What's around this corner that you can't see.
Well, and it's not even that. It's the fear what's outside of this beam of light.
Yes.
I've seen a number of these YouTube videos where people go into like the basements of like mental hospitals and stuff like that, and they're shining it, and the beam of light is, but you can see there's open space on either side that's pitch black.
Yep.
So you're like, would you walk in there not knowing? Like, there's open space, so there's stuff that could be there on either side of you.
Outside of the light, exactly.
And it's that sense of what could be closing in on me when I'm not looking.
Yes, absolutely. Now, as I said, the stealth is fantastic. I don't feel that same anxiety. Here's the funny thing. I don't feel that anxiety when I'm stalking or... Well, I guess stalking, good word, because I do stealth. The human enemies.
Yeah.
Right? To me, that's more exhilarating, like following their movements, sneaking up behind them. To me is awesome.
Happening,
because
what's happening is for them, they're hearing music. All of going, what the hell's going on? What's happening? Because you're sneaking up, so they hear the music, but you can't hear it.
That must be it. That must be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so well done. I'm loving this game. I think I'm about 18 hours into the game.
Wow.
But if what I'm reading is true, I am not halfway through the game yet. Even though the game is supposed to be like 25 hours or so, I play it very slow. Because even after I've done that stalking and clearing an area, I, again, clear the area checking for resources. So I spend a lot of time before moving on, looking for the secrets, looking for the safes to open, that sort of thing, right? I don't want to... Yeah. Just like any game, I clear an area before leaving. So I'm looking everywhere. Even in a big, huge open field, I'm like, I'm going to go around this corner and see if there's any resources before I go down the street where I know I'm supposed to go. But speaking of The Last of Us 2, it has now become PlayStation's fastest selling first-party exclusive. It has sold, I think in its first 3 days, or does it say 3 weeks? No, it hasn't even been 3 weeks. 3 days.
Because it came out.
It came out, in its first 3 days, it sold 4 million copies. That's pretty fantastic.
I can tell you this, when you're able to sell something that can either be delivered or digitally during a pandemic, when nothing else has come out and there's no other entertainment available to people, that's the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, well done. Congratulations to Naughty Dog. Basically, I think they hit it out of the park. They have created something that is, in my opinion, far better than even the first one, even though the first was certainly not a game to sneeze at.
Yeah.
It's a hugely popular game. It was the stress of playing a game like that is really the only reason I never finished the game. Because I have found, Tico, the older I get as an OMG, the less I want to be playing these super stressful games. Does that make sense? Like there's less of it I can take. Like I used to love playing Resident Evil. Love it. I can't play a Resident Evil anymore.
At your advanced age, Sean, you need to be wary of your heart. You need to be wary of, you have to be more careful. No, I totally get it, because there's time, and it's time, like, when we were younger, we'd be like, yeah, I'll sit down and I'll play video games for 15, 20 hours straight.
Yeah.
And now our time is so divided with our families and our work and everything else that when you the idea of taking that much time to put into something can sometimes be exhausting in itself.
And add on to that, for me, playing games is my time to wind down, like it's relax.
Yeah.
I want to relax. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. And sometimes I feel when I'm that anxious or, whatever about, not that the game's bad, I'm just saying the environment is making me like so wary and so anxious. I'm like, I can't play this for 3-4 hours at a time. I'm like, I gotta stop because this is just getting
play some Kitty Powers, in between to sort of break up the stress.
That's when I start playing Animal Crossing again. There's zero stress.
Like, there are those different types of games. Animal Crossing is one of those games where you feel like, hey, I can pop this out, I can play for 10-15 minutes. I'm going to get some joy out of this. I'm not going to feel stressed. I'm not going to feel anxious. But then there's other games like this that have a great story, and it's really like watching a 35-hour movie.
Yeah.
That can be really anxious to do.
Absolutely. But for me, it is more this Last of Us style, the Resident Evil / zombie / whatever you want to call them, games that do that to me. Like, I could sit down and play Horizon for hours on end because it's not a stressful game, right?
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed is not a stressful game. As I mentioned with Last of Us, it's not stressful when I'm up against the humans. I find that stress when I'm down in the dark, dreary, how the frack do I get out of this place with all of these creepy, crawly things around me? That's what stresses me out, because I do feel, and that's the fantastic design of the game, because you're supposed to feel that way. That's the whole point.
And you're never going to be, it's not like, hey, I'm going to level up and I'll be a superpowered character going through this. No. You're always at risk, even though you're not truly at risk because you can restart. But it's not like a Diablo or an Assassin's Creed or anything like that, where I'm just going to level up and I'm just going to walk. Oh yeah, and just and
you can
kill
improve.
Everything as you breathe on them.
Right. You improve your skills, but that doesn't make you an all-powerful god walking through and just single punching everything to death. So anyway, let's move on. Okay. We could talk about this forever. This is great stuff. Interesting. There's two things about Microsoft that has come up this week. First, today, they're apparently closing almost all of their stores. Their Microsoft stores will not reopen after the pandemic. Not only that, they're shutting down Mixer and moving Mixer to Facebook Gaming. Now, I think I remember when Mixer first launched, and we discussed this. I think this was, I can't remember how long ago this was now. We discussed this, and I thought, there's no way Mixer can compete with the likes of Twitch or even YouTube Gaming, because even at that point, YouTube Gaming itself was fairly new, right? But streaming to YouTube wasn't, obviously. But I said, there's no way Mixer can compete with Twitch. First of all, they only made it available on their own systems, right? Remember I said...
Mixer was out there first, and Microsoft bought Mixer to use on Microsoft systems.
But they didn't make it available, for example, to PlayStation players. It was only available on Xbox and PC. Right. And I said back then, that's a mistake. Like, great, yes, I get it. It's a competing platform, but why not make it available for PlayStation? Just because Sony is their competing console, Sony's not trying to compete with any kind of streaming service.
And it's funny because you could get access to PlayStation games on Mixer. People would just stream their stuff and
through PC,
through their PC,
right?
And because you'd go on there and you'd look and you'd see Last of Us Part 2 was probably right up there with people playing stuff who are on Mixer, but. They're not, obviously.
But now, after what, a year? Has it long been? 2 years, maybe, for Mixer?
And quite a bit of money that they paid to a few, streaming celebrities like Ninja. And
when they backed up those dump trucks full of money to Ninja's house. Yeah. So apparently Mixer is allowing these streamers now to choose where they go. Like, they can stick around to Facebook Gaming, or they can go back to Twitch if they want. So it's like, you know what? I don't know why, but I called it a year or 2 years ago when they launched. There's no way they can compete. And now they're closing down after all of that time. And I kind of wonder what's going on behind the scenes here.
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
obviously using the pandemic as an opportunity to
clean house.
clean house and refresh and rebrand what they want, how they want to do stuff as they move forward. The retail stores, they put those in place. Basically, it's the same thing as an Apple store where they had their Microsoft gurus, I think they called them. And
Yeah, it was them trying to compete with Apple.
it
That's
absolutely
all
was.
it was.
I never found myself as we I guess I also don't find myself wanting to walk into an Apple store either. But like I've walked past these and nothing ever wanted to drag me in there to take a look at this. And
I've never even seen one.
There's one in Square One, I think.
I've never even seen one.
Well, you hurry or you'll miss it.
Blink and it's gone.
Yeah. Listen, I get it. Everybody feels more, particularly with the pandemic, everybody is now feeling more comfortable with ordering stuff online. We're seeing the closure of a bunch of Chuck E. Cheese at least in Canada is apparently dead.
There's a lot of stuff closing. Even local businesses. Early on in the pandemic, a lot of like local businesses said we can't come back after this. Like we are shutting down permanently.
Restaurants. One of my favorites was Marketplace Tucker's, which is probably not anything anybody around.
Tucker's Marketplace is closing down.
They won't be able. It's a buffet style restaurant.
Oh yeah. I used to love Tucker's Marketplace. That was a restaurant I used to go to every year for my birthday because
it was free.
It was free on your birthday. Like you actually had to show your license saying, yes, today is my birthday.
Yeah.
And then you get the buffet for free. But it was always a great buffet restaurant though. The food was phenomenal.
It's a great buffet restaurant, but it doesn't translate to a takeout or delivery menu.
Not at all.
So they're not going to be reopening. There's a number of restaurants and bars and stuff like that are going to be closing, and a number of big box stores that are pulling from Canada, pulling out entirely because the model just doesn't work if they're not able to reopen fully, and a lot that were in trouble beforehand that just don't have the funds to hold them over, paying rents on these big buildings and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be a different world when we come out of this. A lot of places are going to have switched to online. Like I know, like Best Buy and Staples have done exceptionally well with their online ordering system. So they may at some point go, well, why are we keeping stores open if we are doing so well with online?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a really good point. So it is definitely going to be a different world once everything's back and running. Like I think you said in our private chat earlier, there's going to be a lot of holes. Like this pandemic is going to leave a lot of holes in our society. Like,
yeah, I
mean, things are going to change. That's for sure. Including games you buy for PS4 or Xbox and then later upgrade. For example, we've now got word that Marvel's Avengers you will also only buy it once.
Right. It is now part of the smart delivery or whatever PlayStation's calling their version of it.
Yeah, the free upgrade. And so they recently talked about what's going to be different when you upgrade, especially specifically on PS5. This article I have is from GameSpot. I keep wanting to say GameStop. It's the same letters. It's just different order.
They flipped them around at the end there.
So PS5 users, when you upgrade with Marvel Avengers, will be able to choose between two different modes, enhanced graphics mode and high frame rate mode. This means you can either play the game in 60 frames per second with a dynamic 4K resolution, or boost the graphics for the highest image quality possible. The system's SSD will allow for a much faster texture load-in. The new PS5 GPU allows us to create our texture resolution, push a higher level of detail farther from the player, enhance our ambient occlusion, improve our anisotropic filtering, and add a variety of new graphic features such as stochastic screen space, Try saying that 5 times fast.
That's what I want as my next job, just to make up the new
words.
Buzzwords. I just want to make up the new buzzwords that we're going to use for the next generation of gaming. That's what I want to do.
Stochastic screen space reflections with contact-aware sharpening. I don't know what any of that means, but cool.
I know sharpening. I know what that word means.
Question for you, Tico, because I know my answer.
All right.
If you had the choice, you have a 4K TV. I think you have 4K TV, right? When you're there in your office. Yep. So we both have a 4K TV, and of course, I mean, I noticed it on things like Horizon. In fact, that's why I bought the game, or the TV was for Horizon. I mean, it makes a difference seeing that 4K resolution. On The Last of Us 2 right now with 4K, it's just phenomenal. If you had the choice between 60 frames per second or the highest image quality possible, which would you personally choose?
It depends on the game, right? So it's going to depend on the game. For this, with the amount with all of the moving parts and stuff like that, I think I'm going to go with the frames per second.
Yeah. See, I have been someone, because I'm not educated enough with frame rates, that I don't see the difference. And it's just because I'm not educated into what to look for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm looking for to analyze or to understand the difference between frame rates. So my preference is to go with the highest image quality possible.
Well, and I would probably, if you can flip them back and forth, I would probably do that. Like, it's like, okay, this is what this feels like. This is what this feels like. And I would
check them out, see which one.
Yeah. See which one I enjoy more.
And the question is, though, with the power of the PS5 or the Series X, could you not get, like, maybe the 60 frames per second is still super high resolution that maybe even our eyes won't tell the difference between the highest image quality and not. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah,
but you're right. Flip them back and forth.
My eyes don't work at 4K. I know that much.
Sometimes it's hard to understand, without seeing a 4K TV right beside a 1080 to understand what you're seeing different. Like when you go to Best Buy and you see the TVs on the wall and you see the 4K right beside a 1080, you're like, holy crap, that's incredible.
Yeah, I can tell the difference.
Right.
But even then, they very rarely have two of the exact same TV side by side, so you could really get a proper thing. It's like, well, this is 4K on a Sony.
Yes.
And and here's 1080 on a Panasonic.
Yeah, it's no comparison, right? Regardless. But at the same time, I would love to see two 4K TVs side by side showing me best image quality versus 60 frames per second. I want to, because I don't think I would know the difference without actually seeing them side by side.
Yeah, it's like the Pepsi Coke challenge. That's what they should do: is set up the two TVs, and you walk in there and you're like, Sean, which one's the 4K?
Which one do you like best?
Right, yeah, and if you pick right, you get a coupon for a free TV, like you used to with the Pepsi thing. If you guessed Pepsi, they gave you a coupon for a free Pepsi.
I would never pick Pepsi. I know what Pepsi is versus Coke. It's very distinct.
It depends on. Now, here's the thing. It depends on the Pepsi.
No. Pepsi and Coke have very distinct flavors.
But the vanilla Pepsi is better than the vanilla Coke.
It may be better, but you know the difference between Coke and Pepsi is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, I can tell the difference. Well, when I did the Pepsi Taste Challenge, I picked Pepsi every time because you got the coupon.
Always pick the one that you get the coupon for.
Yeah, like don't pick the one that's just going to upset them and have them say, well, sorry, sir, you're going to have to leave.
Yeah, like I did. Coke.
Did they make you leave?
Always Coke. I always pick. I never did a Pepsi Taste Challenge. I always did the Coke Taste Challenge. Because in early days of Diet Coke, they're like, here, I'll bet you can't taste the difference. Are you serious right now? Diet Coke is disgusting. I can tell the difference.
Yeah, it gives me a migraine immediately.
Right? Oh, so gross.
I can tell the difference.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to television and movies.
I'll allow it.
I started watching the Twilight Zone Season 2 this week, and interestingly enough, this is a CBS All Access show.
Yeah.
But the entire season dropped all at once.
Maybe somebody pressed a button wrong or something.
Like
It's supposed to be weekly, and somebody's like, eh.
Well, CBS All Access typically is weekly shows. I mean, yes, it's a subscription service, but like Star Trek is weekly. Last year, this show, Twilight Zone, was weekly. All of a sudden, Twilight Zone Season 2 dropped all at once, all 10 episodes. That's really weird to me.
It may not have a network presence. I know Twilight Zone had a network presence somewhere as well. In addition to being CBS All Access, it also had a network presence.
Ah, that could be
it. It may not be on the network.
And Star Trek has a network presence in Canada.
Right, so that might be the reason why. So they may not have may not be dropping weekly on the network. So it's like, here, enjoy all of it at once.
That makes some sort of sense, Tico. Sometimes you can say smart things.
Occasionally, my brain leads to the right answer.
That's interesting. Anyway, so I've watched 3 episodes so far. No spoilers. But I'm going to be honest with you. I started watching episode 1. And the tone of the episode really felt... Well, let's put it this way. The tone of the episode made me forget it was Twilight Zone, and I thought it was an episode of Black Mirror.
Okay.
It's like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't Black Mirror. This is Twilight Zone. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, the shows are very similar. You know, Twilight Zone, Black Mirror, amazing stories. You could throw any of these episodes into each other and you wouldn't even know the difference.
They're all, of the horror anthology style.
Weird sci-fi style. I wouldn't call them horror.
Horror, sci-fi.
Yeah, or like fantasy, that sort of thing. But I mean, I've always loved the Twilight Zone. I've loved amazing stories. The Outer Limits, remember that? I'm surprised that show hasn't come back now.
Yeah, that was a Canadian mainstay, I think.
I loved The Outer Limits. So, again, it was a Twilight Zone style show.
Yeah.
You know, these anthology, each episode is standalone, has nothing to do with anything else. So I'm enjoying Twilight Zone Season 2. Oh, man, I got the hiccups from drinking my soda stream. Again, it's great. It's hosted by Jordan Peele. Is that right?
Jordan Peele, yeah, yes. Hosted and directed, I believe. Many of the episodes are actually directed by him as well.
Hosted, directed, produced. I think he's the one who basically brought it back.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if there's an ongoing thread between all of the episodes like there was last year. So in Season 1, there was this blurry man. They called it the blurry man in every single episode. And it wasn't something you would notice if you weren't looking for him.
He would just show up and you'd see him.
You would just be there, like in a scene. There's this blurry man. And the very final episode of Season 1, actually, the blurry man became very prominent in this sort of meta show. The show started out as an episode of Twilight Zone and then panned back into the set of Twilight Zone and became more about like the writer of the episode in real life type thing. It became very meta, and how this blurry man was sort of haunting her on the set of the Twilight Zone.
I should probably watch Season 1. I think I have it, and I just have not sat down to watch it yet. And I really enjoy these anthology stuff. I know American Horror Stories is coming out soon, which is American Horror Story, but as an anthology series.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, American Horror Stories.
So each episode is its own thing?
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's it. Now, can you watch that independent from American Horror Story?
Yes, it's a separate
entity.
Series.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that world, I'm assuming. Well, I mean, is American Horror Stories even in a singular universe?
Some of the universes do cross over. At some point, characters from one will show up in another, but they're not necessarily happening at the same time or in the same universe.
Well, I know they go through time. Like, the first season was like modern day, and then I think I don't even know what seasons they're at. But one goes way back to like the 40s or something, right? With an insane asylum or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, the most recent was in the 80s, summer camp in the 80s.
Oh, is the current one Hotel or something?
No, the Hotel was like 3-4 seasons ago. The current one is I think it's American Horror Story 1984. It's set basically Friday the 13th
Yeah, you talked about it when it first aired.
It's not, when
yeah.
I say current, it's not current. The season's done.
The most recent season, yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, yeah, I didn't realize that's what Horror Stories. Well, I saw something about American Horror Stories.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was an anthology show. So I want to put out there that The Outer Limits should come back too, because then we'll have Twilight Zone, Amazing Stories, The Outer Limits,
Tales from the Loop.
Tales from the Loop. You know,
Outer Limits was Outer Limits the one hosted by Dan Aykroyd?
That's a good question.
Or that was Sci-Factor or something.
Yeah, I don't think it was. Anyway, Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, Amazing Stories. Now we've got, like I said, the American Horror Stories, Tales from the Loop, even Love and Death. Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah, that is getting another season at some point. Obviously, it's going to take a while, probably.
That's a very different take on the anthology thing, but it's still, because it's all animated, it's still fantastic, though. It's that style show. If you love the anthology, you would love that show. Other than that, I haven't really been watching a whole lot. Still, I'm on the final season of the Drew Carey Show. And, interestingly enough, Dorothy and I have finally caught up to the current episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
So you're caught up there. We have been watching, I'm watching random stuff throughout, but we have been watching Man with a Plan. Shannon wanted a nice comedy.
I love that show. Unfortunately, it's been canceled, and this season was its last.
That explains it, because I said to Shannon, you're going to start watching this, and it's going to get canceled. And we started watching, I think, just before they announced it was being canceled. And of course,
why did you start watching it then?
Not me, her. It's her fault. And yeah,
that was a great show. I love that show. I watched it every week since it aired 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And the final episode just aired last week, I think.
Yeah. So we just finished that, and we'll find something else to carry us through, as we're still, both going into it.
I'm going to put it this way. I think there was another show that you and I were talking about that got canceled. And you and I were like, man, it's okay. I won't miss it. I mean, it was fun to watch. Do you remember which show was that? Do you remember? I can't even think. Something we were watching that got canceled.
Oh.
And we're like, well, I mean, oh no. Sorry. It was Aria and I were talking about this. Schooled. The spin-off for the Goldbergs got canceled.
I did not know that had been canceled.
So 2 seasons. We watched it every week. We had fun with it. But we're not disappointed it got canceled, because it wasn't as good as the Goldbergs. If that got canceled, we'd be picketing, Yeah. But Schooled was like, yeah, okay, what? I mean, I watch it if it comes back, but it's not coming back. Okay.
It's better than a lot of stuff that's on, but it's not worth getting upset over.
Right. It wasn't great, and I feel that Man with a Plan is similar. Although I would say I enjoyed it more than Schooled. But I'm also not up in arms that it got canceled.
Yeah,
I'm more just a little bit disappointed. Okay, whatever. But it ended well. I mean, I thought the final episode they wrote for it, even though it was the season finale that just became a series finale. Yeah. I mean, that was okay. That was a kind of a good way to end it.
Yeah, I want more stuff like that. I found that to be a fun show. I really enjoyed the characters on it. And
you're talking about Man with a Plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's this, you see a lot of stuff now where you just I'm not getting into some of the new shows. Although Snowpiercer is starting to get really good too.
Is it? I haven't started Snowpiercer yet.
I'm enjoying Snowpiercer.
You know what I'm really enjoying? Season 7 of The 100, which is the final season.
I have not started that. The 100 I tend to binge. I wait till it's all out and I binge the whole thing.
This season is fantastic. I love what they're doing with this season. I love what they're doing with the final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well.
I got to binge all of that.
Wow. I mean, it's like they saved the best for last. We're going to get canceled? All right. Let's work our asses off for this season then. It's let's do the best season we've ever done. Wow.
There's some interesting stuff coming. Just today, the Eurovision Song Contest, the story of Fire Saga, which is the Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams.
I'm not a Swedish Will Ferrell fan.
No, they play a Swedish rock band in a music contest, and it just looks ridiculous. And
Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams are not a duo I would have put together in a movie.
But the clips I've seen of it so far, it works. What else? The Boys season 2 just got announced that it's going to air in September.
Oh, why September? I want it now.
I do want it now. That actually makes me think I'm ready for a rewatch of that.
Speaking of The Boys, because it's on Amazon Prime, it's a Prime show.
Yes.
Yesterday I ordered I ordered this from Amazon yesterday, and I've already got it. But you know how Amazon, when you order, it always comes up before the order, hey, upgrade to Prime, get free 2-day shipping, blah, blah, blah. And I always say to myself, I get free 2-day shipping anyway because the warehouse is in Mississauga, which is like 3 cities away. It always comes in 2 days. I don't need Prime.
Yeah, you don't need to pay extra for any of that stuff.
And you know how there's always a no, just take me to my order button? Yesterday, Tico, I swear, it was a completely different screen with an overview of the benefits of Prime with no option to say no for a free 30-day trial.
It was probably hidden somewhere. I've seen that in a number of the unsubscribes and stuff like that. They look at where you go to look for it, and it's like they have it in just a regular sentence. It's like, hey, by the way, in the very, very small print area, if you happen to not want this, by any chance, just click this button here. And the button's the same color as the regular text with no underline, no size difference. And they hide it so well that you have to go hunting for it. And that's the same thing. I've seen that on Prime before, and I've gone hunting for I don't want this crap.
Well, I didn't want, and I was hunting, and I'm hunting for it, and I'm like, here's the normal graphic, the Prime graphic, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. To me, I'm like, well, click on normal. And it's because I clicked on the graphic, it went forward and signed me up for it. I mean, luckily it's 30 days free, so I could cancel. But I'm like...
You can cancel. Have you canceled already?
No, I'm going to cancel like today, or I'm just going to go into my settings and cancel it. I know I'll still get the 30 days, but I'm like, it's so sneaky.
Yeah, I had it once before where it actually did make sense for me to do this 30-day because it would save me like $11 in shipping or something like that.
I'm going to be honest with you. It was I was ordering something with this. I was also ordering something for Dorothy because it was our anniversary yesterday, 26 years. And so I was ordering something that I know she has been wanting for a while. And because I clicked on it, I literally got the order today. It was delivered this morning, and I ordered it less than 24 hours ago. So it was, awesome. At least I benefit from it, for a day. Yeah. Because I got next day delivery instead of 2-day delivery.
Yeah. And here's a funny thing. Yeah, I would have gotten it anyways.
Probably.
They don't go, hey, here's the stuff for Sean. Let's get it on a truck. No, he didn't pay the extra. I'll leave it here then.
Right.
No, they put it on a truck and get it out of their facilities as fast as possible.
Always. Always do.
You are paying for... That's like paying for like the undercoating on your car. Nobody knows what it does. You just like okay, add that, and you're just paying for it anyways. It's not. You're going to get it just as quickly as anything.
I know.
Anyways,
I always do.
I've done that before, and it shows up as quickly as it's going to show up because they don't want to hold on to it.
And on top of that, so because of it, I downloaded Prime Video onto my phone just to check it out.
Yeah.
And I'm looking through it, and I'm like, this is all garbage. What do I want this for? I couldn't find anything I'd want to watch.
They have some stuff, but like I think they have
The Boys.
The Boys, and the other one was Prime, wasn't it? The one with what's his name? I remember things. My brain works.
Oh,
the one where he's in the virtual. He's died and he goes. To the virtual. Upload.
Upload was there, but I've already seen it.
Yeah, it's like all the really cool stuff you've already seen.
Yeah. Oh, anyway.
So get your 30 days again in September, and you can
watch The Boys. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Did you see the news this week that they're apparently talking to Michael Keaton about reprising his role as Batman in the Flash movie? What?
Yeah, I saw that. And they're thinking of having him like old man Batman as the Nick Fury character that brings all of the heroes together.
Is this... Are we talking about he's traveling to an alternate Earth, or they actually want Michael Keaton to play Old Man Batman in the DCEU?
I think it's Old Man Batman in the DCU.
From the future? Because isn't the Flash movie supposed to tell the Flashpoint story? Isn't that the whole point of it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the Flashpoint story arc.
So he's playing future Batman then? Is that what they're saying?
I think so, yeah.
It just seems so bizarre to go back that far to get a Batman.
Well, I mean, if he's not busy.
If he's not busy. Oh, man. So, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, sure, it would be cool to see Michael Keaton as Batman again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that's what they're saying here in the article is Keaton's role in the Flash movie may be comparable to Samuel L. Jackson's role as Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as an influential and important character that will cross paths with multiple heroes.
Yes, exactly. But
I can't not see him as the captain in the Other Guys, where he was the police chief, but his other job was at Bed Bath & Beyond, and so he just, kept getting the two confused during his morning briefings.
Oh, yeah, right. I don't know. Well, here's the thing, though. They're talking about the Flash movie yet again.
Yeah.
And they've been talking about this movie for years. I still don't even believe this movie is going to actually happen. Right? This movie was supposed to happen years before now.
I don't know. It's one of these ones that sort of it's seen so many delays, rewrites,
Yes.
recastings, moving off of things. It's one of those sort of in limbo constantly.
And I don't care. Because, in my opinion, Grant Gustin is the Flash, not Ezra Miller.
I did not care for Ezra Miller's Flash from the Justice
Not
League movies.
at all.
Yeah, I didn't care for the character. I didn't care for the way he portrayed him.
Nope. I agree completely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could watch a whole movie with him as the Flash.
It feels like when you give a kid a pixie stick and then try to hold a conversation with him. That's what it felt like he portrayed the character as, this fast talking, fast moving
Kid.
Yeah, kid on sugar.
Yes, agreed. And he still had that same, like when you saw the two of them together in Crisis on Infinite Earths, in that one scene with with Grant Gustin, Ezra Miller did feel like that kid versus the adult Grant Gustin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't fit. Grant Gustin, as far as I'm concerned, should have been the Flash, even in the DCEU. That would have been cool.
I think part of the problem is the Flash was in there because they wanted to leave him to set up his story, but everybody else got their movies before the Justice League, so we're allowed to develop character. We never saw any real character development of. Right. So maybe the movie might be better because it'll make him a more sympathetic character as opposed to just some kid who's fast.
Maybe. I mean, is it going to be his origin story? Maybe is it going to take place long before Justice League? No, it can't because it's supposed to be the Flashpoint. So
yeah.
I don't know, man.
We'll end up watching it because what else are we going to watch?
Of course, we're going to watch it.
Give us a movie these days, and that's what we're going to watch because
I mean, it's the DC. I'm going to watch it because it's a superhero movie, but I'm nowhere near as excited for DC movies as I am for Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know when I watch a Marvel movie, I'm going to watch something good. I don't know I'm going to watch something good with a DC film.
Well, the other thing, too, is when you watch a Marvel movie, an MCU movie, it's like you're working on a puzzle, and like they're giving you another piece of that to put in there. With a DC movie, it's like you're working on a puzzle, and they're like, here's some stuff. It may fit in, it may not. We may change this later. We
may not even have a whole puzzle, but you've got some pieces to a puzzle that will never exist, which is what they've done.
It's like when for DC, it feels like you're getting a big bag of assorted Legos.
Lego pieces, yes.
Yeah, assorted Lego pieces, as opposed to, a puzzle piece that's going to fit in somewhere. So it's like build what you want out of this stuff, and you don't feel like it's coming.
That's right.
Together.
There is no plan, but maybe there's a plan.
Yeah.
We're actually going to build it like there's a plan, and then decide there's actually not a plan.
and then we're going to fire 3 people, and then the new people are going to come in not like their plan, and they're going to change it.
And then the old people will come back, and nothing will happen again.
Yep, and then we're going to get to the point where we're going to reboot the whole thing.
And then have some movies that actually aren't part of the puzzle.
Yeah,
but maybe they are. We don't know yet.
Well, yeah. So when is the next MCU piece that we get,
my
Sean?
gosh, Tico, we haven't had an MCU film for a year now. Do you believe that? Spider-Man Far From Home was a year ago. Does that not feel weird to you that we've had no Marvel film in a year? After 10 years of 2 or 3 films per year, we've now had no films in a year. And Black Widow, which is the next one coming, won't be out for another 5 months.
Yeah, and that should have been out in May.
It should have been out last month. Well, yeah, almost 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I find that so weird. Like, it feels like something's missing when you think about we don't have one. We don't. Not only do we not have one, we're not even hearing news about what they're working on.
Because they're not working on a lot of stuff right now.
There's no trailers, there's no teasers, there's no nothing. It just I know it's because of the pandemic. I get it. Yeah. I'm just saying it's so weird to have no news, no trailers, and no new MCU films in over a year.
All right. Well, here's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that Disney hits some financial crisis of some sort.
Disney in financial crisis?
Listen,
Disney's going to be the last company on Earth.
Yeah, no, I know this is the case, but I'm hoping that they get panicky. It's like, well, we better release this to video on demand now, and we get our Black Widow, handed to us, July 2nd.
No, they're not going to put Black Widow on video on demand. It's too big a property. It's too high profile because it is their first female-led superhero film. There's no way they're going to relegate that to video on demand.
Captain Marvel was their first female-led.
Sorry, you're right, it was. Okay, I take that statement back. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right, it was.
Wait a second.
Wait a minute. No, I mean, I don't know, man. I just... Black Widow should have had her own film years ago.
Yeah.
Well,
all the other Avengers did.
Except Hawkeye.
Yeah, but he's potentially getting his own TV series.
Yeah, is he even, though? After all those allegations against him?
I don't know what's happened with those allegations. I don't know if they've gone forward with that. I mean, they had halted production on it while they resolved that, but I've not seen anything from that since. So, I mean, I believe the Hawkeye show will still go forward, whether or not he's a part of that or not.
Jeremy Renner. I couldn't think of his name for a second.
You were going to say Jeremy Irons, weren't you?
No, I almost said Brenner.
Oh, well, it's not him.
That's a different actor. There is a Brenner.
That's a different guy.
That's
Yul Brenner.
Yeah. But anyway, I was thinking about that today. It's like, wow, it feels like forever since because a year in MCU is a long time. Like we are used to having 2 or 3 films every year. And last year with Endgame and Spider-Man having only 2 movies last year actually felt weird because they both sort of came within months of each other. And then it was like it was 6. No, it was going to be like almost a year before Black Widow, and then that was pushed back to November.
And then that's pushed back, and then we've got it was early 2021 for the Doctor Strange movie now.
Yep. Yeah, and then of course we're still hoping that the fall we're still going to get WandaVision or Loki or something.
Moon Knight, She-Hulk.
I don't think they've started those yet. They've announced them. They haven't started them yet.
No. Marvel's What If?
Yeah, looking forward to that. That's not, MCU based, but not canon because it's obviously What If.
They can give us that as a little taste.
Yeah, they could. Absolutely, they could.
Because that's voice work. We can make that happen, guys. Come on, get back to work.
Just do your voice work over Zoom.
Yeah, just have a Marvel. Do what like some of the shows have. Just have like a whole pandemic Avengers movie where it's
a table read. It's just a table read.
Not a table read. No, have them act out, but like there's something that's causing them all to be in computer screens.
Oh, like they did those
like
special episode of Parks and Rec.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
The entire thing is
the
is
pandemic version of the Avengers.
Yeah, just have it's nothing but, videoed versions of people running around everything. Like, just do like a found footage type style of that. They're all doing stuff in their own backyards.
You remember in Endgame when Black Widow is video conferencing with everyone around the universe?
Yeah.
Have that. Do an episode of that, an Avengers meeting, the conference call meeting with the Avengers.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be about a crisis. It could just be, do a conference call with the Avengers. Have them all suited up.
Like what they did with Mythic Quest.
Yes.
Where it's the Avengers and they're all having to get on to the weekly meeting. Like, have it as like that's a weekly thing. There's nothing going on. There's no bad guys.
Yep.
Just have all of them getting very frustrated about having to log on.
Yes.
During,
Imagine Captain America trying to figure out technology.
Yeah.
Captain America would be like the old guy in Mythic Quest.
It would be fun. I want to see something.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. They should totally do that. Anyway, that pretty much brings us to the end of this episode of the OMG Hour. It's been episode number 373. You can follow us on Twitter at the OMG Hour, and I am Zion Tane everywhere.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Second Place. And
yes,
flipping tables with OMG on Instagram is where you're going to find a ton of our board game stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget,
check us out there.
Check it out again. Flipping tables with OMG, all one word, on the Instagrams. Tico's been doing a great job with that. Over 500 now.
553
followers. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's more than our show. So from now on, the show will be on Instagram. No, I'm just kidding.
It'll just be still images.
If only. All right, that's it for this week. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again next week.
Bye, guys.